I think it's safe and a safe bet to say that Clair Obscure Expedition 33 is more than likely going to be Game of the Year. Its story is fantastic. Its gameplay isn't exactly innovative. There's been other games that have done its parrying method and things that they do in it, but is the way they implement their gameplay that makes it unique and makes it an homage to the JRPG that this game clearly loves. And in my opinion, this game is a 10 out of 10 if you like turn-based games and if you like vast open world that has a great story. But I'm not here to talk about why Clair Obscure is Game of the Year or why it's a 10 out of 10, but I'm here to talk about the main root of this game, is that it reminds me a lot of Inception and the way that it does that these characters are using essentially dream worlds that they've made come to life and put their grief in order to create people that they can't let go of.
Ten, 12, all connected, bloody hell.
Make them every day to share the dream. You see? Very stable. How long do they dream for? 3-4 hours each day. And dream time with this compound? About 40 hours each and every day.
Why do they do it?
Tell him, Mr. Cobb.
After a while, it becomes the only way you can dream.
Do you still dream, Mr. Cobb?
They come here every day to sleep.
No. They come to be woken up. The dream has become the reality. Who are you to say otherwise?
The obvious similarities are both of them make dream worlds of people that they can't let go. With Cobb, we have him grief-stricken and making a recreation of his wife almost down to the letter, but the difference being that it's a person made out of a projection of grief. In Expedition 33, we have a family that is dealing with not only trauma of their daughter being burned, but of their son with grief that saved their daughter in order for her to stay alive. That trauma and that grief goes on to painting and a canvas that their brother had made in order to kind of play, to make a world where things were happy and fresh and nice, where they essentially refreed the entire family, including the deceased brother that is essentially a projection of grief of not letting go of something that is not there anymore. Now, whether or not these characters are real or sentient and these people in this world actually have feelings and emotion, that is not arguable. They do have feelings and emotion. Now, here's where the similarities of Obscure Expedition 33 and Inception start coming to life, especially with the two choices that you have at the end of Clair Obscure Expedition 33. In Inception, Cobb has to come to terms that his wife isn't real, but is more of a projection of what he thinks is his wife, with grief painted on top of that. With Expedition 33, you have a choice of either staying with Mei Li and kind of living in this delusion of a world where it more than likely is going to hurt you if you stay there for too long, which is why her father is trying to desperately get his entire family from out of that canvas, because the longer that you stay in there, the more consequences that you have on the person, and more than likely will lead to your death.
Yeah, I cross it every day to get to the college.
Never recreate places from your memory. Always imagine new places.
Well, you gotta draw from stuff you know, right?
Only use details, a street lamp or a phone booth, never entire areas.
Why not?
Because building a dream from your memory is the easiest way to lose your grasp on what's real and what is a dream.
Is that what happened to you?
Listen, this has nothing to do with me, understand?
Is that why you need me to build your dreams?
Get off of it. Back up.
Hey!
Back up!
Cobb!
Get off!
Cobb! Let me go! Let me go!
Both of these worlds have the exact same consequences. If you go too deep into a dream in Inception, you literally lose your mind to where you can't come out anymore. And we see this in Expedition 33 with the mom refusing to leave the canvas in order to stay with her son that she cannot let go of. And the second choice of Expedition 33 is really where we see the differential of the stories and how the twist comes back to life. Veso knows that he's not real. He knows that he is a created manifestation of his family, and he's tired of being an anchor for his family that they won't let him go. Now again, it's arguable whether he's real or not. In my opinion, he is real, but is a projection of what his family thinks was their son or their brother. He is their grief version of Veso. He is a grief projection of what they think Veso was, with sadness and trauma on top of that. Veso still has all the memories of the Veso outside of the canvas that no longer lives, and he also has the love for his family, for his sister, for his mother, for his other sister, and for his father. He is tired of seeing his family constantly using him as an anchor to not go back to reality, especially when he knows the consequences of staying into a canvas, aka a dream, for far too long, where it starts affecting the person and more than likely would lead them to death. And with that, we have Veso that rejects the people that had made him and push them out in order to finally face reality, and once more make the family face the grief that they have been avoiding this entire time, and make them come together in order for them to be a family again, which, by the way, the game completely throws a loop and saying that painters and writers are in a war, which would mean that the family needs to unite in order to fight that war. And in my personal opinion, the correct choice was the Veso choice, because living in a delusion, whether you think Veso is a living entity with actual emotions and feelings, really isn't the point. When you see the other choice of Maylene choosing to stay in her delusion, in her world, in her dream world of projections that she has made because of her grief and her family's grief, you see that Veso is tortured. He is a person that no longer wants to live or be an anchor to his family anymore, and is kind of forced to live in the delusion that Maylene has in her head. While yes, these are people that she grew up with, this is essentially Cobb staying in the dream world in order for his brain, as they noted in the movie, to turn into Scrabble eggs, which we see is exactly what happens in the Clair Obscure Expedition 33. He not only has to sit there and kind of do whatever she says, but on top of that has to see people that he loves being hurt. And keep in mind that the time works differently in the canvas, so minutes could be months, days, years. We're not really sure how long it is, but we know that a short amount of time is a long amount of time in Clair Obscure Expedition 33, like the way Inception is. Which again, the longer that you're in a canvas, the more that is going to have an impact on your psychological and physical well-being. Now, while there is no true right or wrong choice, it's a matter of opinion, and in my opinion, this game does a great job of kind of painting the picture of what grief and trauma does to people, and how not letting go can further destroy you from the inside if you're not willing to face that grief and grieve fully. It's clear that this family loved each other deeply and is deeply traumatized, with them making an entire world filled with a son that is a copy of him, but with grief painted on top of it. In my personal opinion, the correct choice was Veso's rejecting his creators in order to escape the guilt and anger that his family had on top of him. It's kind of an inverse of Inception on how Cobb essentially rejected his creation of his wife because it could never be anything like his wife. But with Verso, he rejects his creators because there's no way that Verso could ever be a replacement for their son and their brother. He is a creation, whether he feels or not is irrelevant. He is an anchor and a creation that doesn't want to be an anchor and a creation no longer for his family. Essentially no longer wants to be a puppet in their world. But again, this is very much an opinion-based choice. Were you to say that Maylene isn't living a real life in this canvas and that this isn't real? Well, I do believe that Verso rejecting Maylene and essentially kicking his family out of the painting and destroying it is the correct choice because we should face grief. Just like in real life, you can't force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. But at the same time, you can't force Verso to be this anchor in order for them to stay in the dream that is going to corrupt and hurt them emotionally and psychologically and physically. Much like Inception, it really doesn't matter whether Cobb wakes up from his dream or not, and those are really his kids. And in Expedition 33, whether you choose Verso or you choose Maylene, the only right choice is what you're willing to live with. What is it that makes you happy, and what is going to be the correct choice that you're willing to live with? And with that, I leave you this final question. What are you willing to live with? Will you face your grief, or will you stay in the dream and not face that grief ever? The choice is yours, and only what makes you happy is reality.